just holding the
Hello.
phone,
You want to just start by telling me a little bit about yourselves, who's in your family, where you guys are from, and just the general sort of get to know you kind of thing?
Yeah. So, I'm Gareth.
I'm Adrian.
We're from Melbourne, Australia. We live in a suburb called Diamond Creek, which is in the northeastern side of Melbourne, near the Yarra Valley, close to the wineries.
Well, I'm originally from Adelaide.
Yep.
We met 19 years ago. So, both playing volleyball sport together, or against each other. That's how it started. I've got a background of cooking, cake decorating, hospitality, and currently in aged care.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
And I'm in sales and marketing for an engineering company. So been doing that for 17 years now. So definitely got some good long service in there. That's why I'm taking some time off at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, of course, that must be. So we'll start with the more formal sort of questions.
Yeah.
So like I was saying before, if you just wanted to start by um, giving a brief rundown of when did you know you wanted to become parents?
So we decided to become parents probably around eight,
Mm.
8 years ago,
Yeah.
roughly. We've been together for nearly 10 years. Had a great life together, enjoying, being, be able to go travel overseas and do lots of great things as a couple. But we felt we were missing something, and that was a child. It actually was a bit of a coincidence. We were going on the Midsummer Festival in Melbourne,
Oh,
walking
yeah.
through there, and Kinpath had a tent there, and we saw Paul and Josh, who are the owners of Kinpath. Had a great conversation with them. We saw Paul and Josh's children there,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about what we would love to do one day. And from there, we sort of kept in touch with Kinpath and Paul, and sort of looked at options for us to have a child. And so that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that first step.
Yeah.
Indeed, wasn't it? That was the catalyst of us thinking about, well, we could seriously do this. We could
Yeah.
this could really be a start a family. Yeah.
Presented to you as sort of a realistic
Really,
option. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So what led you to surrogacy as a path to parenthood?
We chose surrogacy as well. We had other options, and we knew of other options. We led to surrogacy because it seemed to be the one that would suit us a bit better, or what's what I'm looking for, more
Achievable.
more achievable.
Yeah.
We knew of other options. We knew of other scenarios you could go, explore, but it just seemed to be the one that was going to work for us. We just knew straight away it was going to be the one that worked for us.
Can you share a moment that you decided this was the right choice for you? Was there one, I know you mentioned sort of meeting Kinpath at the Midsummer Festival, but was there another sort of highlighting moment where you were like, yep, this is the route we want to take?
I think the moment for me personally was when we did meet the guys and we saw the family and we saw the unit and we heard their story.
Yeah.
And then we started to hear other people's stories as well, and thought, well, that why not us? And that led us to saying, yep, we can do this.
Yeah, and also, realizing that, age also, we are older parents, but that is not a factor in surrogacy. As long as you've got a strong family, a strong love, a strong bond together, and wanting to achieve that together, it is achievable. So looking at options for us, we definitely looked at some options in Australia, and we did some comparisons between Kinpath and some other options through other agencies out there, and it was Kinpath's, leaders and Paul and the team and the conversations we had, and looking at the options they had for us really was the best way forward. And they were very clear in what the literal hang on.
That's okay.
Sorry. And it really was our relationship with Paul and the team, how clear they were on the process, on what needs to be done to get to where we need to get to.
Yeah.
The financial commitments as well was all very clear from Kinpath and Paul and the team, and it really proved to be the best options when we looked and compared for what's happening in Australia and of course with other agencies overseas. It was it just seemed to be a no-brainer. They were very open and very welcoming and very clear on what had to be done.
Very clear.
Yeah, lovely. So what were your initial questions that you had for them about surrogacy?
Initially, the question I can remember we both asked was, how long would this take?
Yeah.
Not really knowing where it would happen, but how long would it take? And I remember Paul giving us just words of advice and hope, and making us feel like, well, this is very achievable. He was quite clear and quite frank, saying, it's not going to be instant, but it'll happen, and that kept us going all the way through. Didn't it?
Yeah.
So we did already sort of touch on this, I guess. Maybe we'll just go over it again. How did you first come across Kinpath? Was it through research, word of mouth, or something else?
So we came across Kinpath. It was through the Midsummer Festival in Melbourne, where they were had a tent there, and they were of course promoting their offering to the Midsummer Festival. And it was good timing because we had just started thinking about that as an option moving forward. It was a great conversation we had with Paul, Josh, and the team there, and really sold us on that this is the option for us moving forward.
Yeah, lovely. Sorry if we do rehash.
That's all right.
What convinced you Kinpath was the right choice for you, and sort of what tipped the scales in their direction versus other agencies?
Kinpath, I think just from the outset was just like talking to friends, and it's also because they share their experience as well. So their own personal experiences that Josh and Paul told us about helped us relate to them and realize that we can do this too, and everything's quite achievable. And they were just supportive from the get-go. They communicated well. They explained a lot of things that day. I think it was just one of those moments where we were just meant to be, and meant to pass their tent, and meant to say hello, and meant to talk about it.
And that's led you to where you are.
And here we are.
Beautiful. Looking back, how would you describe Kinpath's communication about costs, timelines, and risks? And was there anything that sort of surprised you or delighted you out of the experience?
So Kinpath was very open on the timelines, noting that timelines can change in this sort of way moving forward, in relation to knowing that there is quite a big process to become a father through this. We're quite clear on each of the stages, from having to provide your sperm, which needs to then go overseas, of course. You need to find your egg donors. You need to then create the embryos. You then also need to find a surrogate. Then you need to transfer the embryos to the surrogate. And then, of course, once successful, there is a process then of course, that 9 months of building up to the birth of your child. And it was quite clear on all those stages through Kinpath of the timeline and also the financial commitment for each of those stages, which was very clear. There was no surprises. We knew what was coming and we were prepared for that.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if a couple like yourselves asked you whether they should work with Kinpath, what would you say to them and why?
Well, if people approach us and ask us for advice, we'll certainly recommend Kinpath because, you don't know how long the process is going to take, but they just they've supported us the whole way through. They've been open with the communication, and they certainly helped us and allowed us to communicate with our surrogate during the process once she was pregnant, and the clinics along the way. They've just been open, and any question that we needed to ask, they were there and they answered it straight away for us.
Yeah, beautiful. So on to the next sort of part of the interview. We'll sort of focus more on the surrogate and your relationship with them, and just sort of the more intricacies behind that part of the process.
Yep.
So when you first saw profiles, what made your surrogate stand out to you? And was it something in her story or her background, or was it a connection that you found you had with her specifically? What sort of led you towards picking her as your surrogate?
I think we chose our surrogate, and I think it came from our heart. We had gone through the process for quite a while, and we had chosen other surrogates, and we hadn't had success. But I can remember once we learnt about our surrogate, that it just felt right. For some reason, she just seemed to. It was just one of those things, a gut feeling that this one was good. We'd met other surrogates and we had looked at their profiles and they were fine. It's just a shame that nothing became of it, unfortunately.
And the great way with Kinpath is that we get to meet our surrogate prior to deciding if we wish to proceed with that surrogate. So Paul and the team have a meeting set up via Zoom, and we have a conversation to meet her, to ask her any questions. She also gets to meet us and ask us any questions as well, which is really, really good. And from there, we then decide, okay, are we comfortable with her as the person to be our surrogate? We also, which is great, that Kinpath provides a full profile of the surrogate, which details, or has she previously had a baby, her health from both her side and also her parents' side as well, to see if there's any long-term health issues there, and it's quite clear on that. We also get details on exactly her height, her weight, eye colour, hair colour. It's very thorough.
Very thorough.
Yeah, lovely. It's nice that you get that sort of personal connection with them as well, rather than just a piece of paper. But exactly. Have a chat to them and get a vibe for them, as well as them getting a vibe for you guys. And
in this situation, you've got to try and know them as quick as you can and as best as you can.
Yeah.
And vice versa for them as well. They've got to obviously, know us as well and be happy that they're happy being surrogates for us. It works both ways.
Yeah, of course. Did you have any specific questions for your surrogate or about your surrogate?
Questions we had for her was why? Why does she want to become a surrogate? And to understand the reasoning. And, of course, there is a financial incentive there for her, and that's understandable. But also we want to know, the other reasons why. And what we got from our surrogate was that she really wanted to help us. She really wanted to help a couple who cannot have a child themselves and who deserve to be parents. And she really came across really strongly that she wanted to help us and to bring that love and joy to us.
Beautiful. That's lovely. So what kind of relationship did you imagine having with a surrogate prior to sort of, I guess, starting the whole journey and going into more in-depth information with Kinpath? versus what kind of relationship did you actually end up having with her?
Our relationship with our surrogate, yeah, we weren't quite sure what it would be at the start.
Mm.
You know, we were encouraged by Paul and Kinpath and the team to ensure that, you know, we were encouraged to keep in contact, to don't be afraid to message our surrogate, to set up video calls on a regular basis, which we did. So during the 9 months, we would speak to her at least every 2 to 3 weeks via Zoom, which was really good. We got to know her. We got to see her pregnancy and the stages and her growth, and see our son growing inside her, of course, which was lovely. We got to check on her welfare. We got to check on her health. A great thing too, that we regularly got updates from the I guess the nurse in Colombia as well, and she gave us updates on all the various appointments, on how the scans. We saw live scans as well, and live what do you call the videos? Ultrasounds. Yeah, live. Yeah, we saw live ultrasounds.
And in turn, I can recall that that our surrogate had made a comment to the staff in Colombia that she felt quite supported, that we were concerned for her every step, and she was actually really quite grateful that we were caring about her. And
That's lovely. That really defined your relationship with your surrogate. And that can be either way. It can be a positive high point, or something that was maybe a bit more challenging that you didn't expect.
There was a moment that I think we felt really connected, is when we saw our surrogate's belly, and she was very open, and she was very, very kind, and she showed us her belly, and she named him Junior, and that moment felt like we were all together. We're all one family, and how she told us that she would sing to him in Spanish and in English, and again, she was happy that we were concerned about her health and her well-being and her family and her process. So I think that was a moment I remember connecting with our surrogate very, very strongly.
Yeah, that's beautiful that you got to share that with her. What would you say was the hardest moment for you, either of you, both of you, emotionally during the surrogacy journey, and how did you sort of get through that?
Yeah, the hardest part of the journey is the bad news that we received on a number of occasions on when the embryo transfer was unsuccessful in the surrogate. Yeah, it was quite a large number of times that occurred. It never got easier. It is a tough moment for everybody when you hear the news that you are unsuccessful and you need to go again. So that is a moment that definitely is hard, but it's all part of the journey to get to where you want to get to. So yeah, that was some hard moments until the final. Basically, we had 1 or 2 embryos remaining, and when you least expect it in the end, then something magical happened, and we got our son. So I think that's the hardest moments.
And I can imagine it's like, looking back on it at the end, it's very bittersweet, because obviously that is quite a traumatic process in itself, but every missed opportunity led to Mitchell. So
it's then balancing those highs and lows and the positives and negatives, and here we are today.
So this one's probably maybe a bit more personal. You don't have to answer it if you're not comfortable, obviously, but I guess just other people, I suppose, knowing that they may be in a similar situation or not, can be helpful. So I'm wondering, how did you plan and prepare financially for the process of surrogacy? And did you run into any unexpected costs or financial stress during the process?
Yeah.
I think we planned financially. We planned for the process for this to have Mitchell, to have a family. I guess being practical people, we just knew that we had to be committed to this, both emotionally and financially. But financially, we just it's hard to say. We're just careful. We're practical, and we know that. We knew from the start we were never unaware of the cost of this process, because it can be quite costly, and it's one of those situations where, well, you do decide financially if you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, perhaps you can't. And so we were just very, very careful along the way, and quite open to knowing that if there are expenses, and we'll have to deal with them when they come.
But you were quite aware from the start of what those costs were, and Kinpath's team kept us updated all the way through. So there were no unexpected costs. It was quite clear on those. So we knew, and for couples who wish to do this moving forward, they know quite clear the costs involved and what's needed financially. Yep.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. That's a very nice, clear, helpful answer. So I guess this brings us to our last question, really. If another couple like yourselves came to you and they were just about to start their surrogacy journey, what do you think is one piece of advice you'd give them that you maybe wish someone had given to you, or that someone did give to you that you found very helpful?
I think a piece of advice I would give to somebody in our situation that's just starting is be honest with yourself. Understand it can be a long process. Sometimes it can be a short one, but generally it can be a long process. Never give up. Ask lots of questions. Trust in the team that you've got helping you along the way. Get some help along the way as well. We had a few family members that knew, not a lot, but that we had some support as well. I think you need emotional support and some financial support as well. And be honest that it is going to take some time, but at the end of the day, it is so very much worth it. And when you have a team like Kinpath that are guiding you, you're going to know what every step is. And there's a lot of unknowns, but we never felt too far from an answer, did we? The team would always answer a question if we needed an answer.
I think some further advice would be for those who are wanting to do this is to, take your time, ask lots of questions, understand that things won't always go right straight away. You need to be prepared for, be prepared for some unsuccessful attempts, knowing that, it's all part of the process. You could be one of the lucky ones who first time can be a successful transfer. And I hope everyone is successful first time, but knowing that it does take some time, and don't give up. The reward is extraordinary, and Kinpath can take you on every step of that journey, and a great team to work with.